gym wear, which is a gym brand completely born from animal rights. We are also activists, and we have a YouTube channel too called Vegan Muscle Outreach. We both love coming to this place. We love it so much, and we've really enjoyed the festival so far. But of course, our favourites are all of the animals who live here. Has anybody met any of the animals here?
Hands up if you've met Nero in the field just behind us there. Yeah. What about Laura, black and white dairy cow? Yeah. Okay.
Hands up if you're vegan! And hands up if you're pre-gan and you've been dragged along by your friends and family and you're just trying to blend in. Right, so for me, it all starts when I was younger. I always loved animals, and I was lucky enough to go on some amazing holidays with my family, and we saw some amazing animals. I remember when my parents would check in at like the hotel, and as a child I'd go up to the bit where they've got all the leaflets, and I'd find any leaflet that had a picture of an animal on. I didn't know what the leaflet said, I was just like, I want to go here. And then after my parents would check in the hotel, I'd wait for the perfect moment to go up to them and go, here's all my leaflets, can you take me to all these places to see the amazing animals? So I was really lucky because the 10-year-old me at the time, my parents made all these things happen. I got to go to all these amazing places. I remember going to zoos, and I loved seeing the animals there. I remember swimming with dolphins, which for me at the time was amazing. I fed the lambs, and I was even picked out of a crowd to milk a cow. And for my birthday, my mum managed to book me a trip to go and cuddle a tiger. Like, wow, how lucky was I at the time? But how did it then take me another 16 years to realise all these places that I thought were so amazing are full of such suffering, abuse and murder? And when I went vegan, I finally saw them for what they were. I used to love these places because I loved animals, but now I hate these places for the same reason, because I love animals. The zoos that I love going to, I didn't realise that they were prisons for animals. Animals that have been taken from the wild and snatched from their family and put into a tiny enclosure for people like me just to look at them. I didn't realise the dolphins were taken from the ocean, put into a tiny tub of water, used purely for human enjoyment. And the beautiful lambs that I was feeding, I didn't know I was fattening them up to be shortly killed after. And that cow that I was chosen to be milked out of the crowd, I didn't know that she was a mother who was forcibly impregnated and had baby after baby taken away from her. And the tiger that I was so desperate to cuddle, I remember was chained down by his neck, just used for entertainment, but all ultimately for money. How did I not see this before? Because it's so obvious to me now. But from birth, we are all brainwashed. We come into this world vegan. We naturally love animals and want to care for animals. But they have manipulated us and our love for animals for us to pay for horrific things. Whenever I questioned anything, I was told things like humane, free range, organic. I was taught dolphins love doing this. Animals are safe in zoos. The tigers get everything they need and they are treated like kings. And farmers love their animals, but yet send them to be murdered. Along with misleading adverts, I got to the age of 26 years old thinking a cow produces milk because she is a cow. I had no idea of the truth because the truth was hidden. How was I so close to all of these animals? How was I so close to their suffering and never taught the truth? To me, this is crazy, and it disturbs me to this day that I ever participate in something I'm so morally against due to being lied to.
Yeah, well said. Exactly, we're lied to. We're lied to from a very young age. I'm sure we can all look back and remember childhood books childhood images, and from a young age we're all shown that mythological farm that actually never does exist. The smiling cows, the happy chickens, the happy lambs, and we're fed that propaganda from such a young age all the way through. Even recently, like the Arla adverts that are on the TV now, the propaganda is just so damaging, and it appeals to that humane slaughter and that happy mythical farm, which keeps good people paying for bad things. And I just want to talk a little bit about the victims of these industries, especially for anyone in the audience today who is pre-vegan. So pre-vegan is obviously someone who's not vegan yet. Everybody is vegan, they're just not there yet. So when we talk about victims of industries, and particularly like animal agriculture industries, I want to talk about the dairy and eggs industry, because immediately when you want to stop harming animals, people think about being a vegetarian, because it seems obvious if you stop eating the bodies of dead animals, you're doing something good. But the reason why vegetarian or reducing is not enough is for these two reasons. It's dairy and eggs. So I'm just going to quickly go over these industries for if you don't already know them. So cows only produce milk, like Mel says, because they're mothers. So they falsely impregnate cows by putting their hand all the way up inside of her, holding her cervix and injecting bull semen into her. Because she's a mammal, she's going to carry her baby for 9 months, just like a human animal would. The difference comes after the animals give birth. In a maternity ward for a human, they get to bond with their child and they get to look after them and nurture them and love them. But the reality for a dairy cow is a process called snatching, generally called snatching. They come and take the calf a few hours after the calf's born. If that calf is a male calf that's been born, he'll go into a holding pen. And the likelihood of him seeing a kill floor in an abattoir in the first day or two of his life is about 90% chance of him being there. If not, a few months later for veal. The dairy for the female calf born, she'll go into solitary confinement, into an isolation hutch with a chain around her neck tied to a floor. She'll have a small pen and she'll stay there for 8 to 10 weeks. The mother then gets put onto an intensive milking turntable where she's milked. Every inch of that milk that was for her babies will be drained from her and go to products like cow's milk for your tea, cow's milk in chocolate bars, in yogurts, in butter. When she slows down the production of her milk, around 5 years old on average, she too will be shipped up and sent off to that kill floor. All for things like butter, milk and cheese. This is why vegetarian is not enough and vegan is the only option. When you want to look at eggs, eggs start in a parenting shed. If you've never ever seen inside a parenting shed, you're very lucky, but if you haven't seen inside one, I urge you to look inside one. You'll see around 8,000 female hens and around 3,000 male hens, and they're left in there to fertilize eggs. The floor is littered with bodies of victims of this very part of the industry. Once them eggs find themselves in hatcheries and they're hatched, they're sexed, female and male. The male hens, the male chicks will either see a macerator, which is an open blender, or they'll see a black bag with a knot tied in the top and they'll suffocate to death. The females will go off and they'll be used either for meat, grown into a body of an adult within 6 weeks with her legs broken, her organs failing, and laying inside her own feces getting chemical burns. Or she'll go off to be a battery hen, or what's known as a free-range hen, another term used for the consumer to feel better about paying for a horrific industry. Egg-laying hens will see the abattoir at around 18 months. This is why we can't advocate for reducing the level of harm. We can't advocate for being vegetarian. People aspire to be vegan and they put it like it's this thing we should aim to be, and it's really difficult to be a vegan. Actually, it's the first thing that we should do, and it should be the first run of the ladder. There's nothing under it. Vegan should be the base level.
1,000,000%. So I spoke about all these places I loved going to as a child, but sadly full of exploitation. And the retreat is the first place where I came where animals were not used or exploited. We came here shortly after going vegan, and when I came here it was amazing to be around other vegans and other people who want to do all they can to help the animals and dedicate their lives to looking after these animals. And then there's the cafe. Don't get me started on how much I love being in there. Coming here was the first time I could see what the future would look like, where animals are cared for and loved the way they should without any harm, where people work so hard and do what they can to help, and the food to be completely made without any animal products in, how everything should be made. We often get told off in the cafe for saying, "Can I have a vegan sausage roll?" And they say, "No, it's the sausage roll. It's weird to put an animal in there." I could finally relax here and recharge around the most wonderful people, and of course all of the animals. It gave me such hope, knowing so many can see what I see. And after seeing the truth behind what happens to these innocent animals, like Steve explained, we were broken, and the retreat is the place that stopped us going into a very dark place. It's the hope we all need. And I take that hope and I use it in activism. I take that hope and use it in daily life. And when I see the suffering and exploitation that happens to animals, I use that hope that there are good people. There are people fighting for animals and doing everything they can for animals. And when I'm feeling low or feel like I'm not good enough, I remember that also we are the only hope for the animals. We are all they have, so we must keep fighting and we must keep going. The two most important days of your life is the day you were born and the day you find out why. And our why is to be activists and to fight for animal liberation.
Yeah, well said. Really good. Well done. So we're coming to the end of our talk, and I realise we've just been talking at everybody. So I want to get everyone woken up a little bit. We're going to do a little practical exercise. Everyone starts looking the other way. Right, we're going to choose 4 people from out there. Okay, so let's go with Blue Cap, number 1. Let's go with Humane Being, number 2. Number 3, and Arif, you could be number 4. Okay, when I say go, what I'd like to do, I'd like to see a Mexican wave from this side, across and back. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Mexican wave. Just you, just the 4 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, and back. Go on, Arif. 1, 2, 3, 4. Brilliant. Well done. Round of applause. Okay. This time, I want everybody in this field to send a Mexican wave here, all the way across and all the way back. Ready? Let's go. Everybody, big Mexican wave. Off you go. All the way. All the way back. Yeah, brilliant. Well done, guys. Now, it might seem silly, but the reason why we do that, when only 4 people were sending a message and sending it back, you may not have seen all 4 people move their body, move their arms. You may not have seen all of them. You may have seen 1 or 2. And it may have been harder for that message to get across and back. But when everybody sent that message, even if you wasn't paying attention, you could have been looking at the floor, not really paying attention to what's going on. You would have felt a wave of movement, or you would have felt a message being passed amongst us. We need to relate this when it comes to being an animal rights activist and being a voice for them animals. Because when we unanimously send a message, united, with a clear cut voice, we're going to do so much more impact. We're going to have the message delivered so much faster, and we're going to save so many more lives in doing it that way. Didn't matter when you did that wave if you was a really big part of the Mexican wave or whether you was a small part of that Mexican wave. Again, that can relate to animal rights activism. It can be putting a sticker on a toilet door. It could be responding to a social media post. It could be being a 24-hour animal rights activist working here at the retreat, looking after animals that get dropped off at 3 o'clock in the morning, liberating animals. Or you could be street outreach. Everybody has got a talent, and we must use our talent and use the voice that we've been given to fight for animals in any opportunity that we can take it. And that's why Vegan Muscle came around for us. We're always in the gym, we're competitive bodybuilders, so it was part of our activism to build that gym brand the same as our YouTube channel, because we all have to use our voice. Albert Einstein said, "Those that have the privilege to know have the duty to act." all of us here know, so we all need to act. Because peace isn't just the absence of war, it's the presence of justice. And it's down to us to be that justice for the animals.
I won't need you guys, you can sit back now.
Thank you, guys.
So I just want to say a little message to the animals. I just want to say that I'm so sorry to all the animals that have been born and gone through such suffering. I'm sorry I also paid for your suffering, and I'm sorry I didn't know better, and I'm sorry I couldn't save you. To the animals living right now, we see you and we're fighting for you, and I'm sorry for what my own species has done to you. We know you are there, and we won't stop fighting. To the animals yet to be born into this cruel world, we will never give up. We will stand strong together. We hear your cries and we see you, and we are coming to break those chains. We are coming to remove those shackles that hold you down. And we are coming to free you from the cages that you are trapped in, and we will never stop until we have animal liberation.